Welcome to Reverend Ivy Rivera's Psychic Medium Ask the Medium show here on Academy Talk Radio. We are live here from our studio at the Ivy League Psychic Academy in Amherst, New York. Reverend Ivy Rivera has designed the show in the expectancy that it will reach those who are ready to receive the knowledge being taught there at exactly the right moment in synchronicity with your spirit. Ivy encourages all listeners worldwide to attend classes electronically or in person at the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where we are raising up the next generation of light workers. For a full listing of classes, visit ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com, and to book with Ivy, visit Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium or find her on Facebook. My name is Jen Woods. I am going to be your host for the evening. I am a certified psychic medium trained right here at the Academy. I have an educational background in social work. I got my bachelor's degree from Buff State, my master's from UB, and also hold a sex therapy certification too, so I do get out there and do all kinds of counseling. Today, my guest is actually going to be the Ivy Rivera. She's the founder of the Academy right here in Buffalo. She developed her abilities at a very early age and continued to grow as she became an adult. Today, she has more than 20 years experience giving readings for the public. She opened up her academy here in Buffalo a few years ago and really began to push to fulfill the Academy's mission of training up the next generation of light workers. Ivy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's going.
I'm so happy to you hosting. So this is really Jen's. This is the first time that she's hosted. She's going to be one of our new hosts on a regular basis, covering these types of topics on mental health and other things. So I'm really excited to have you. Happy to be your first guest. It's exciting.
I'm very excited to be here. Before we do get started with today's topic, I do want to take a moment to highlight some of the classes that we have coming up here at the Academy. The first is empathic means, which I think is so absolutely the right timing for this show. That class is going to be Thursday, the 13th, from 7 to 9. The class is $30. You can Skype into that class too.
They can. They can Skype in, Zoom, FaceTime into any of the classes that are going on at the Academy. The empathic means lecture that's coming up next Thursday is based on having empathic ability at one of the 4 levels that we scientifically know exist, how they can affect your life, your body, your mental health, positively and negatively. So you can attend that lecture and learn the skills that you need to use to properly block or transfer the information back out. Most of us are absorbing from other people, and we don't even know we are. That's what that lecture is about.
That's awesome, because that's one of my questions later.
Right.
We're also going to be having an astrology basics class that's starting this Tuesday.
Yes!
The instructor is Christina Del Rey. She's super awesome. So excited for that class.
I'm taking that. I am. It's the first class I've attended at the Academy. Yeah, it's an astrology. I believe it runs 5 weeks.
Yes. Yep. So I definitely want you to check those out. And then level 1 just started this past Thursday. So
correct.
If you did start or sign up, you only missed 1 class, you still have time to come in and then start that. So hopefully I can spark the bug in you right now today.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, level 1 psychic mediumship development. It's a 16-week course. You can jump in right now, but you would really need to get in this upcoming Thursday at the empathic means class. So you can, go to the Ivy League Psychic Academy website and register yourself for level 1 and jump in still.
Yeah, don't miss it. And I do want to mention our psychic fair this September. It's the 23rd. It's going to be super amazing. There are over 40 readers, a plethora of vendors, demonstrations throughout the day, some gallery reads. It's going to be a really, really good time. All the readers and tarot readers that are there were trained at the Academy. So we're all kind of showcasing our talent in the school here. So I definitely want you guys to check that out this September.
Yeah, the historic Silo Cities down there. It's beautiful. Amazing on the waterfront. It's really cool to tour.
I love it here. So I'm going to jump right into our topic for today. I'm super excited about this because as soon as I took my first level 1 class, I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I do in real life. So I know that I got this idea one day when I was doing counseling in the holding center. This guy was saying he was psychotic, and I air quoted that. You can't see me though, but I did air quote that word. And he was like, all these things are happening to me right at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I feel somebody touching me, and there's a smell that's not there. So I kind of lowered my shield a little bit to peek and see what was going on around him. And one of the ways that I see energy is I can see colors around him. So I can kind of see everybody else's energy around him, kind of in his aura. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you do have some issues going on, but some of these things that you are saying are really true, and I can really see it here for you. So this kind of championed my first interest in kind of making the correlation and connection. Ivy, when did you first notice that there might be a correlation between the two?
Between mental health
Yes.
and spiritual activity
Yes.
Going on. It's funny that you say 2 a.m. because a lot of it did happen at night. I would say that it got out of control at night. And it's also funny that that's coming up because my son, my 11-year-old, said to me the other day that it's a big fad on YouTube right now, that there are all these videos coming up, the 3 a.m. challenge right now. Everyone wants to use a Ouija board or talk to spirits, or it's the haunting hour. Okay, so internationally, any religion, I mean, everyone believes that there are certain times where spirits increase in activity and communication. 3 a.m., very popular, known for that, okay, the haunting hour, or they would call it the Antichrist hour. It's really not that bad. It's just that it's positive and negative spirits that come to interact. So people have to use discernment. For me, I would say that nighttime was a major issue where I would see spirits that were in the room, and I was always barely, practically suffocating, myself under the blankets, head under the pillow, facing the closet, which was more uncomfortable because there were things in the closet. It was just always difficult. But during the day was another major issue. When I was about 5 years old, the teachers started to say, when Ivy's at school here, she will cash out. There are my air quotes, right? That she checks out. And we don't know where she goes, but she doesn't appear to really be in her body anymore. And so my mother would be sent, she would have to take me to these therapists, and they could never find anything wrong with me. Later in life, I realized that what it was the empathic ability that I have where I would absorb other children around me and the teachers around me. When the activity would kick up in the room, I would not be able to handle it, so I would sort of leave my body.
Right.
So that's where the doctors started to step in and say there's something wrong with her, or let's say the staff would say there's something wrong with her. I would go to the doctors and they couldn't find it. So that it was at about 5 years old they started trying to put diagnoses.
Right, like ADD.
At the time, well, I was born in 79, so we didn't have, I don't think ADD back then. But it was, I mean, they tried to officially label me as some kind of melancholy, almost like a depressive disorder. And then, it started to affect my reading and writing skills. I actually completely lost the ability to read and write in the first grade. And my degree's in journalism, and I was top of the line. I was an A+ student in reading and writing, and it completely disappeared as my abilities increased in the first grade. So then they tried to connect that to bipolar disorder, and I went through a gauntlet of tests there, and that also came up negative, and on and on and on from there.
Right. Wow. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But to go back just a little bit, it's funny because a lot of people who have like these mental health diagnoses don't sleep at night at all.
Right.
So there's like a lot of insomnia too that just looks like your mental health symptoms are completely out of control and you're just an insomniac, and let's give you another pill to fix that.
Right. And it's so unfortunate because then you're exhausted, which can actually cause a ton of problems. But it's also an issue when we're told that we're supposed to sleep during the night, and then be up all day working. A lot of people who are struggling with spirit activity at night don't have insomnia. They can sleep, but maybe just during the day is easier. And I was never told that was okay, ever.
Yeah, no, that's really good to know now. I think it kind of starts with something's wrong with me. I can't sleep, and now it kind of spirals down from there where I can't function during the day. So yeah, that's really cool. I know when I did my empathic needs class, you mentioned like there was like an improvement in kind of symptoms with like depression, anxiety, and panic attacks, stuff like that, after you did go through level 1. And that's really what sparked my, a part of it, what motivated me to do level 1 is I do have anxiety. So I was like really interested, like, let's fix it. And it did help for me, and I've said that before. But do you see that it's pretty consistent among other students where it does help?
It does. The level 1 psychic mediumship is where I started to notice students were coming in with what they had been diagnosed as bipolar, even mild schizophrenia, insomnia, fibromyalgia, and a slew of anxiety disorders, and then the ADD and all that other stuff, that goes with it. When they took level 1 psychic mediumship, they were graduating, and when they would go to give testimonials promoting the school, it was always something about coming off meds. And I was like, there's nothing about the school in here. I was like, what is everybody doing? Like, what has gone wrong? I wasn't sure. That's when I pieced it together. They're learning over the course of the 15 weeks to manage energy, all kinds of energy, psychic, empathic, mediumistic energy from objects and atmospheres, everything, spirit energy. Yeah. So that's how empathic means. The 2-hour lecture was actually developed, was based on all the students that were graduating and coming off of meds.
That's amazing. That was one of my questions, too, that when we have a person who's having an anxiety attack, what they're actually doing is their brain is shooting them into fight or flight because they've seen something and we'll say it's not there or something minute that kind of gives them a panic reaction. So I was going to ask if it could be them just reading the energy from other people, the news, like objects that had a bad experience at lunch, and now that energy kind of can't stick with me. So
yes, and we live in a fast-paced society, so it's don't process, don't think about anything that's weird or unusual. Try to avoid negativity. People don't take enough time to look when their body is a little out of whack or their emotions are feeling toxic. We tend to be like push on. Right. And so they're not processing. They never ask, why did that happen? Where did that come from? We miss our triggers. By the time we realize that we have some problems, we are normally so far into the anxiety attack that it's hard to tell where it came from. Right. So mindfulness is key.
We do. Oh my gosh, this is going so well. But I did want to ask about mindfulness because of the fast-paced everything, there is a big push towards self-care and mindfulness, and that's really about bringing awareness to what you're feeling in this moment. I know your catchphrase, one of the many, is it mine or is it others? And you think it just goes beyond being mindful, like I know what's going on. You think we should take a step further to say, like, as an empath, this is also what I need to do. Like, I'm going to be aware and know that when I go to Tim Hortons at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's going to be a line onto the street. Like, so it's not just being aware. There's a second part to it, too, do you think?
There is, preventative for sure. You need to understand what is yours and what is others. And when you have energy affecting you in a negative way, and that's going to become a trigger, you need to learn the tools to block it out, but you also have to be realistic that you can't always block it out. How will you ever go get your coffee and donuts if you don't learn, to say, okay, sometimes I can block it, but sometimes I'm going to just allow it and breathe through the experience. And what the Empathic Means lecture also does is it teaches you to be empowered so that when you do allow for an experience of someone else's energy being absorbed into yours, you can also detect how you can put that energy back out properly, productively. Maybe you don't like going into Tim Hortons because of the fluorescent lighting, okay? And a lot of empaths have a problem with that. Sensitive. They don't like the bright lights. They don't like the loud noises. But maybe it's the people. Maybe it's the stress, the tension of the workers, or the toxic energy coming from some of the, customers there. So what do? It's okay to feel that, but then put out white light. Send healing to the people in there that need it. Become empowered and know who you are as a healer. This is the biggest issue with empathic people. They don't understand that they are healers.
Yeah.
That's why they have the ability. And they also have a heightened psychic and mediumistic ability.
Absolutely.
So they're getting it from all angles. They need to learn when and how to properly put it back out, not just hide.
Right. Do you think that some, maybe not education, but at least exposure when you're young would be helpful? Like maybe you'll still have some anxiety or some mental health when you're older, but do you think there would still be that panic devastation when you're 26 and graduating from college and it's like, I had my first panic attack, like, I don't know what to do, and you're actually starting from an absolute zero instead of having at least a couple of foundational pieces to say, okay, I did have a panic attack. How can I bring it down? What can I do right now in this moment? Because I feel like there's so much fear right there that you just kind of freeze and without any practice at all.
And there's so much out in the medical field that says, oh, wow, you're having this. We have a pill for that.
Yes.
Oh, we feel you. We feel that you're having this. Let's get on meds for this. Yeah, so it feeds the problem. Absolutely. I think that if we can start with the teachers in the educational system, and if we can start having some simple meditation techniques being taught in school, if we can have the teachers go through an empathic training so that the teachers can identify who the children are in the classroom that have the empathic ability, why they might be acting out aggressively, why they might be, like they said to me, disappearing, shutting down, escaping, why this would happen. It's also your crier. It's the overly sensitive child in the classroom, and the way that we pair them up. Right. We use the empathic kids with the, let's call them the problem kids in the classroom. Right. To calm them down. So we're draining one and we're calming another. They're used as tools and pawns to strategically place the classroom for the highest form of productivity for the teacher and the grade.
Absolutely.
The teachers should be educated and trained properly in how to start handling the kids then. Yes. Helping them to manage the energy when it starts to get off the charts. And this way it would just become discussion. Right. But we're not there yet.
So here I am, like super social worker. I'm walking into school. How do I get everybody to buy in? Like, how can I, like, let's just try it.
And you have, like, an office?
Yeah. I have my office full of tools and everything that I need, and maybe not a public school, right? Like, I have unlimited resources, so I'm doing it. And I'm like, how can we just get our foot in the door to say, maybe he's just not bad.
Right. And that's the ultimate thing, is that it's interesting, isn't it, that we don't need any tools. You have all these tools, you have all these degrees, you have all these, right? And you don't need any of that. You don't need any of it. Because the minute that kid is sent to you, you start to say, wow, what I really feel is happening with you is that you're picking up on energy from around you. We're going to work on some basic, simple techniques where you'll be able to go into your own body. Okay, we're going to have you maybe close your eyes and just relax. And I want you to go into your own body and I want you to find any areas of tension. I want you to pay attention to any negative emotion. I want you to pay attention to anything that triggered you and made you feel angry, thoughts about people or events that are popping into your head right now. And you just lead that child down through their body, and as they go from their head to their toes, all these things will pop up. All the answers will automatically come out. They'll share them with you, and then you say, okay, here's how we can handle this next time this comes up. Also, they could just do some simple breathing exercises. Kids are so great with their imagination. They're easier than adults. So they can use a simple breathing exercise where they're taking a deep breath in, and when they blow the air out, they're blowing out the negative feeling or the pain, the emotion, and they let it fall down into the earth where maybe glitter comes out of it or a flower grows or whatever works for them. Next time they have tools to learn to say, No, I am blocking. We use something called the unicorn shell with the teachers and the kids that come in for this lecture. The unicorn shell, putting a unicorn shell around the body, they're visualizing this, from the top of their head down to the bottom of their feet, keeps them in a safety zone so that whatever that negative energy is, it cannot penetrate again and disturb their energy field. Mm-hmm. They can also, you could teach them simple exercises. Oh, wow, yeah, I see that you're upset today because your teacher was really angry today. She came in and was automatically yelling at everybody, and that caused some tension for you, and now you're having problems. The teachers need to own their energy and understand that they set the tone for that room. Half the time the kids are wild is because the teacher's energy is out of control. So we have, let's say, this child who is actually triggered by the teacher. You can also teach them a simple technique about identifying that and sending her healing.
That's awesome. I love it.
Sure, and it's simple, right?
Put it in a checkbox, totally doing it.
Then you push your weight around and you try to get an after-school program going on, right?
That lunch before school, after we get in there, we're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. And if you're the only one sitting in there the first round, that's okay, right? If it's you and your notepad and all your toys. And then if it's you and maybe just a couple kids, you know, you start getting something going. And I would say it would be nice if the guidance counselors had more, they were able to reach out to the parents more, get more parents involved.
Yeah.
Because there is interest. Not everybody wants to see their kids on meds.
Right. How quickly do you think it will take to kind of raise the vibration just a little bit? Like, say we have the school and it's like, and I do my class, and one day at lunchtime, I have just one kid in here, and me and this one kid are rocking for 2 days, and then there's a third kid. How long before it kind of starts to build? And you won't feel like everybody's not going to come in the next day in sunshine and rainbows, but you start to feel like a little shift. Like, how quickly do you think that new vibration builds? It
is instantaneous. It is as quickly as the thought can occur. The energy shifts. And we know this about energy, right? Mm-hmm. This is scientific. This isn't even spiritual. You know, this is scientific. Energy attracts energy. So when we have a shift from negative to positive in something like a classroom, it's contagious. It affects the energy around it, and the vibration starts to be raised. And things work more in harmony, and it creates a calming effect. And when there is that calming effect, it's even if the teacher were the problem, that teacher would calm down. It doesn't mean that people are going to necessarily, the ones that are in charge are necessarily going to become more open to it. Mm-hmm. But I would say that if we were to give this probably a year to a year and a half, where the effects could be, you know, going home, we're going to see an improvement in the kids' grades, their behavior, them being able to self-soothe and things like this. The counselors will absolutely see it. The doctors will see it. That's where the interest is going to start building, when we can see a pattern developing. We just have to get our feet in the door.
Yes. Do you think it's hard, because I know so much with the research that we do has to be evidence-based. Do you think it's hard to get that evidence to go in and do research and say, to kind of track these people and do a study that's like, over a couple of years, or maybe take a cohort of kindergartners now and then track maybe not their mental health, but kind of their responses? Like, how quickly are you getting angry? How quickly are you come down? You are angry? Are you sad? Like, do you think it's difficult because of the nature of, we can't measure energy?
Yes. Yeah, the door is being closed on us because we're being told that this is airy-fairy, that this is spiritual. This isn't something tangible. So it's considered, weird or seedy or shady. They don't want to let something like this in. Mm-hmm. They would prefer to let in a soccer program or an art program or, a lizard program, anything. But what we're doing is just treading water. We're spinning our wheels. And it's been very, very difficult to get something in there. I'm fortunate enough to have all three of my kids tested into the public school Olmsted. It's a gifted and talented school. And the principal there is extremely open-minded. So I've made a little bit of headway. But where I've found that I can make a little bit more, okay, instead of full on getting into the schools as a program, is with the teachers. I'm infiltrating by saying this lecture is available, and I would say half, possibly even 75% of the people coming in for the lecture are teachers. And here's what's getting them. They're sick and tired of facing the same old problems in the classroom year after year. Right. These are well-intentioned people. Oh, absolutely. So sometimes, if you can get the teachers on board, you have more of an opportunity.
That's a really good point, too, that I think, I don't know, it's really good. Like, I think that it's kind of also like this ancillary support for the teachers. Like, you can kind of lift just a little bit off of them, or because they have so many, I think, pressure with like your testing and scores and everything as it is. So it's like, I come in, I got this pressure, I got this class, and, oh my God, I can't do it. So I think it does kind of start. Oh my God, it
has a tremendous effect on their classroom.
Oh yeah, even to kind of help them though, I think it would be. That's really good.
And we know from other studies that when they track children who were exposed to meditation, that the violence rates and everything like this starts to decrease. So it is out there. It's just few and far between.
Right. I did read an article though that there is a school here that does now have like a full meditation room. I'm not sure which school it is, but it has like the whole setup and everything is there. Like it's really, really cool.
Oh, I love it.
I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look at it. I'll post it on a page.
Simple things.
I'm so inspired by it because it's kind of saying, I see you, and that is important.
Yeah.
So I like it. And I also like that you mentioned, like you kind of mentioned being angry, and I think it's so important that it's not just the angry kid in the classroom kicking over people's juices. It's like you can be angry, you can be sad, it can go like the spectrum from one end to completely just disengaged and staring off in the corner and not really completely present. So I think it's not just like you're not looking for this kid is angry, he's having an issue. It can really be a kid that's not having an issue at all. You can just be going through it, but still kind of internalizing all the energy from the class.
It can be an empathic child that was sat next to someone who's dealing with a lot of turmoil right now, and can read as overly emotional, sad and depressed, completely detached and leaving the body, or aggressive. It can look like a lot of different things.
It can.
Question.
Okay. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I don't think
we should. I know, because I really don't want to derail from this.
Yeah. So let's take
the phone number and all that.
Oh, the phone number is 646-668-2353. That's 646-668-2353.
Okay. All right. So if people want to send in their questions?
Yes, call in. You can call in. You can text me right now if you want to. That number is 716-597-2922. Again, that number is 716-597-2922. So you can text me your questions too. Don't call me because that would be an awkward phone call.
Yeah, this is going to get a little something. Some of you don't want to go on air, okay, with questions. So, yeah,
right,
you text her if you're comfortable sending it in that way, and I'll give you mine as well if you want to text 716-602-1391. We will be taking your questions on this topic, but also just psychic mediumship.
Absolutely.
We forget on this topic, okay, the other thing.
Psychic, I know somebody out there wants to know about your boyfriend and or your job.
Yes, we know that.
Call it in right now. I got you. We will work on it, okay? I know you're out there waiting. You don't ask. I promise I will not judge you. I know all about your man.
So I do have a question coming in. This one, surprisingly, is not about a man, but I think the next one is. So we do have an interesting question coming in here from Brianna. So I'll read this. Okay. Let's see. She says, I had a dream about 4 to 5 years ago that was different from anything I've ever had. I'm wondering if you could help me decipher what it meant. My uncle passed from a heart attack in 2001. 4 to 5 years ago, I was dreaming that he was in the kitchen cooking, and my phone was ringing. On the phone was my aunt, but I ignored the call. She left a voice message, and it was my uncle. saying, hey, Bree, just calling to check on you. I love you. Moments later, the French doors that led to the backyard burst open by a strong wind, and I heard and felt a whisper in my ear. The whisper said, don't ignore it, 3 different times. I have goosebumps.
Me too.
That was the end of the dream. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means you're a psychic.
Yes. Congratulations on your
Congratulations, and
welcome to the club.
And then
I like these visits. This is how it kind of got me when I was little with these visitations right after somebody was passed. I think a big portion of it is I'm okay. I'm okay, and it's kind of that affirmation, because I think sometimes when somebody passes, we're so distraught and we're caught up in what I didn't, like maybe I didn't give you back your baseball, or I need to let you know that it was me who broke the window that one time. So I think our loved ones do check in sometimes, like shortly after, to say, I'm okay, like I'm here, it's okay, like not anything crazy or outlandish. And I think the phone ringing is, I don't know, like I almost want to ask how you felt after the first dream, because now to say don't ignore it, like you're ignoring what? Is it me talking to you all the time?
It's funny that took so many years.
Right, yeah.
This is what people do. Mm-hmm. Even though he said very clearly, hey, Bree, it's just me calling to check on you.
Right. Cooking in the kitchen, business as usual, everything's okay on this end.
Don't ignore it. Don't ignore these calls, right? But here it is 5 years later, and she's sending this question into the radio show. What they're telling you not to ignore is your intuition, okay? They're telling you to pay attention and develop that. Right. It's also that you're not supposed to ignore, it sounds like, the aunt, or letting the aunt know, which is wife, I'm assuming. Right. Letting his wife know that he came through. And that's the mediumship part of it. Yeah. That's the need to deliver these messages to other people to bring them comfort that he's around.
I agree 100%. I think that some people are just afraid to ask. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that like, because if my husband died and I didn't know anything, like I wouldn't, if I was never even interested in psychic anything, like I would want to reach out and go, hey, can you just peek a little bit just to see? Yeah.
So give it out. Give it out. I'm sure that, was it Brianna? Brianna. Yes. I'm sure that since then, 5 years ago, you've had a slew of these dreams, and you may be overlooking them. Okay. Right. So,
or even experiences. Like I feel like they kind of build. I almost feel like they kind of build up to dreams sometimes. Like you might have that random coincidence, and it's like, no, that really didn't happen, or no, like maybe the first dream was like, I just missed them so much, and I made that up. I don't think you're making it up. I think that you should kind of listen to it. Keep a list, I think, of all the random occurrences, and you'll see that they're really not very random at all.
Yep, right on. And dreams do tend to be the highest level before we move in to having intuitions during the day when we're awake. Yeah. So once the dreams peak, you're moving into it throughout the day. And this is where we can actually see the disorders developing, things like anxiety and depression, because right around there we start to block it.
Yeah.
Not, so stay open. This is what he was telling you, Don't ignore it. That's a phenomenal question.
It really is. Thank you.
We have another one coming in here from a 585 area code. Hello, I had a medium and healer help open my third eye and told me it is now open. A year ago, poof.
Okay, magic wand.
Ta-da! Which isn't really something somebody can do for you. Okay, but I'll finish the question. Somebody can't just open that for you. That's something you have to be willing to do and participate in. The rest of the question says, but somehow it doesn't feel like that's true.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at your ego.
Yes, because there is so much going on in here, with people being told different things, and they actually need to do it themselves. So here's the rest of the question. Okay. Do I need to work on exercises to help me open more fully? And this is coming from a Manny at a 585 number.
Hi, Manny. So a lot of our spirit communication, you you can't think about it. Like, I don't think it's open. It's not working. Oh, my God, this isn't right. No, what's going on? Don't do that. If she opens it and said that it was open, trust that it is open. And I don't think that you're not doing anything wrong. You're not going to see, like, glitter juice pouring from the middle of your forehead because it's open. Like, you may not feel or look or anything different. It's going to be, like, maybe physically different. But I think that it's really a trust. If you want to do exercises, do exercises. But I don't think that you can do necessarily more, like, to open it more. Like, is it open but it's not fully open? Or, like, is it, like, dilated to 10 meters?
Right.
It's not like that.
High expectancy.
Yes.
There are some very high expectancies that we say, I heard you use the word ego. We connect it in here at the Academy, as do most spiritual practices, to ego. Ego, okay, the need to control, have more, expect too much, is what creates an actual block.
Yeah.
So it's almost like for you to do less with it is the solution to you being able to feel more. Now, this person may have removed some energy from you that was creating some of those blocks. So she may have told you, like, your third eye is opened, or I tried to help you open your third eye. But the reason I was laughing at that and saying that it's somewhat comical, because it's really something you have to do on your own, is because we know for a fact that we can close that right back up.
Yes.
The minute we start to doubt
Yes.
or expect too much.
Absolutely.
This is a very similar situation to having a haunted house, a paranormal problem, let's say, and the medium gets called in to come and clear the problem. It's not that someone from the outside can't come and help you to clean up the problem, but the minute you revert back to old ways, the problem could come back. So it's ownership of energy, again, mindfulness, okay, of yourself that's going to keep that third eye open,
right?
To keep the energy clean.
Right. No, I agree. And I think a lot of it is kind of, like you mentioned, and I think that you're even open to practices and exercise is cool, but we can get all the information in the world from whatever psychic we go to or class. But there's still, like, some work that we need to do. We need to trust and let it flow. So, yes, she opened it, but there's still, like, work that you're going to have to do on your end, too, if you want to, I think, manage your expectations, too.
I think that people are so confused, too. This is the thing. This is a great question, for Manny, but if Manny went into 50 other trainings, okay, to help him to become more intuitive or work with his abilities, and they were all sitting around and meditating and using the old pacifist method, Manny would eventually get burned out and start to think his third eye was broken. So this is what the rest of the world is experiencing right now. I am not trying to make a plug for my method, but I am telling you, the level 1 psychic mediumship class here is based on a method that I designed to get rid of all of that. There is no pacifism involved. When you feel like you need to get into exercises, it could very well be because you do, and you're not going to find that in another training. That's why I designed it. So it's the PSC method, the psychology of spirit communication method. It is hands-on practice. It is not meditation. It is not pacifism. It is not religion. You come in here, it will blow the doors off any other training you've ever had.
I agree. You will give your first reading on the first day of class.
On the first day of class. We do our first 5-minute reading.
Yeah.
So, and it's really about, right? It's really about psychic mediumship and empathic ability, all three, learning how to use them. Yeah. So go and step out, Manny. Do something new. Skype in if you have to.
Skype in, Manny. Do it, Manny.
And back onto our topic. I'm assuming you really want to go scared.
I know. Okay, let's go. Oh, I have a good one. So a lot of the assessments that I do, and I'm going to have to do our mental health assessments first, get all the questions in before I can do any kind of therapy. There's a question that says, do you hear or see things that others know that aren't really there? How do you feel about the way that question is worded?
I don't care for that question is worded. Because I will tell you, how exactly do we measure whether our mind is really there?
Yes.
How exactly do we measure, if God is really there? How do we measure feelings? No, not a good question. It's a rigged question.
It is.
So it's setting you up for failure. It's setting you up for mental illness. Because if any answer is coming back, okay, if our mind were to pose a question in any way, and then an answer comes back, we're told that we're hearing voices. However, we are training these kids to sit there and ask a question of their mind at a test, and that's okay if the answer comes back to them then. Right. So this is a great.
That's it. I like that. It is great. I feel like even if I ask you that and you pause, I'm going to check that box. Like, you heard about something.
That's why we keep going and going and going and going and denying and denying and just don't get it. Lock me up.
No, but I don't ask that question. I always ask, do you hear or see things that other people can't hear? I know sitting in a line of readers, I'm going to see something that the reader who is equally trained or better than me is not going to see or won't see it that way. So I do always kind of ask. And I did get pushed back at first, and I'm like, I'm going to do my own thing. Like, if this is going to take me down, I'm not going to say that what you're seeing or hearing is not there unless you told me that you just made it up.
Good for you.
But I do.
Amen.
I do that. But I feel like we need to validate it. Like, yeah, you probably did see that thing going wrong. And I feel like that could not, it has to be lonely to go and say, I see all these things and I can't function. And then I go and talk to this person who's supposed to help me and they say, oh, you see all these things? There's something wrong with you. Let's fix it. What can we do to fix it? And we're really not empowering that person. It's like, oh, no, that's not really there. That's just your mind making it up. So you kind of put people in positions to not even trust their mind, which is the opposite of what everything about mediumship and everything.
Whoo, there it is. Yeah, their perception. Their perception is being negated as something bad or wrong. And people with even things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, people with Alzheimer's, dementia, people with severe mental retardation, all of the people who are passing away, okay, have had near-death experiences. They're all experienced children, okay, just a normal 3-year-old. All of these people having these experiences are having a different perception than what the person sitting next to them might be using. Absolutely. They're tapping into different frequencies and they're seeing things. It does not make those things bad, but because we're told that they are bad, it induces fear. Now, once we have a fear-based energy that we're residing in, it starts to, because energy attracts energy, attract negative or lower.
Yes.
And even the things that it's attracting that might not be negative or lower, it could be positive, we start to categorize them as bad. This is where the problem with discernment comes in, and judgment.
Yes.
Everything that's out of the ordinary, we judge them as bad.
Yes. That's a really good point, too.
So you can't tell them that what they're experiencing is bad. This was one of the first things I dealt with. It was with the doctor saying, we have to get her mother sent her in here a couple times, or she's come in here a couple times. We have to start giving a real diagnosis. We have to come up with something to say. Right. And here's a pill for that. So, I mean, countless diagnoses I've had, 8 different kinds of sleeping pills I've been on, 2 6-month-long training programs to get me to sleep at night because I should be able to sleep between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. This was it. I would be in a session with my one therapist, and I would be able to tell her that I had walked into a building and knew every room that I was going to encounter down the hallway of a new building, what colors the walls would be, the people that I was going to encounter, the things that they would say to me. And I would tell this to my therapist, who was had decided that I must have, I think she was working on bipolar at the time. She thought I was bipolar. And so I would tell her this experience, that I had gone into this building and I predicted everything 6 months prior to a T. And she would say, you must have been there before. You're wrong. You're misreading it. You had been there as a child. I said, I didn't grow up here, lady.
Right.
There's no way.
It's like an old repressed memory.
I had forgotten.
Yeah.
This was her solution to everything. Then 6 months later, she would say, I'm sorry, I must have misdiagnosed you. I have a new diagnosis and new meds. We're going to come at this from another angle. Anytime I ever gave her evidence of my psychic ability, she would tell me that I must be misunderstanding. I had been there before somehow and I forgot.
Right.
That's what they've got.
And I know, and you can't do that. Like if I feel like, I mean, come on, like if we were not ourselves, like could every person go and say, you know what, no, like there are people who would believe it and then go with their entire lives trying to fix themselves when there's not really much or anything that needs to be fixed at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. And the more we help people to embrace what they're experiencing, even if it does sometimes feel negative, they'll at least be more relaxed, being self-empowered, confident. You know, they're on the path to healing versus negating.
Absolutely. So let me say this. Now that I'm all done with school and I'm super enlightened and educated, I sat down with my professor. We're going to do a video component of this so you can actually see like what's going on.
I put the crown on her head.
Yeah. And I sat down with my professor and I go, you know, I have a client, made up client. Like I have a client, talking about myself, not real, but I'm like, I have a client who comes in and they're like, I'm psychic, I hear voices. As their clinician, how do I know if you're having a psychic experience? Are you hearing voices? Like, are we talking about like Santeria, like where it's okay to communicate with spirits? Like, how do I know? And his answer was, you want to look at the quality of the voices that they're hearing. Maybe, or what the voices, it was the quality and then what the voices were telling them. His take on it was he would start treating it as mental health if Jesus was saying to kill your neighbor. Or not just, I'm talking to Jesus and this is the message that I got and it told me that I would win this lotto ticket to buy that one right there. He's like, that's not a problem. Okay. But now if you're talking to God or you're talking to the Spirit and the Spirit is telling you to do something bad, then, you know, you might want to look at kind of starting there with your treatment and working. He said working to improve the quality of the voices. And I thought, I was like, oh my God, you're like a social word God man.
Yes, he is. Like, I really love him. This is my future husband. I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it brings us right back to what we were leading into a second ago, was that at least to acknowledge that it's okay and we're validating it can put the person at ease so that their vibration can raise and start attracting more positive. Yeah. Fear is only going to attract more negative. So there are people that were not necessarily working with darker energies, attracting negative spirits or negative messages all the time, but they were told that it was bad or wrong, and that's when it started to attract worse.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with the quality, and again, this is where we need to say, okay, maybe my religion, my parents, doctors, teachers have told me that it's bad to entertain this, but I am going to trust myself. I'm going to use discernment. Same way we do with people. Some people feel good, some people don't feel good. This isn't rocket science. I'm just going to trust my own discernment. And I'm going to say that maybe some of the voices that I'm hearing, some of the things that I'm seeing that other people aren't seeing, some spirits that might be trying to communicate with me, some of them are positive, some of them are negative. Yeah. And I will only entertain the positive. Yeah. This is the key to everything.
That's a good point. He used a person like that as an example because medication will not take all the voices away. So much medication as you want to go to. Like I personally support an integrated treatment plan with many aspects, but I can't give you a pill to make all of the voices go away. But maybe if I gave you a pill, you can know that you don't have, even if it was a bad voice, you don't have to listen to it. But if it was a bad voice, who wanted you to listen to them? Let me teach you how to bring in some light and shut him up.
We live in a dangerous world right now, too, where paranormal investigators are kind of spewing out onto everybody, that the entertainment value to get into paranormal work and to poke at the negative, to poke at the earthbound is a great idea. And there are 250 paranormal teams popping up in America per day. They're charging mass amounts of money to get people involved in these investigations. But these people don't know how to protect themselves. So the people that go through could have an attachment to possession, negative energy following them around, and they have no ability to control it because they were never properly trained. Yes. So anyone who is ever experiencing negative communication with spirits needs to learn that they have the power and to control it, to get rid of it. That leads us into topics like clairaudience. Yes. Okay, so when you said that you'll never be able to take enough pills, not medication in the world, to totally turn off the voices, that's because clairaudience is real. It is. Clairaudience is the ability for spirits to put thoughts into our heads. And we have to learn what is ours and what is others, starting in our brains and the thoughts that we have. And we can't control those negative thoughts. But we have to be in a world, in an environment, talking to a doctor who will say, I'm validating that you heard a negative voice that maybe wasn't yours. Now control it and block it out. So until we get there, I know. I wish I could just. How can we help? You like tooth fairy, put a little gem under every doctor's pillow at night. Soak in. Like, listen, just a little bugging in your ear. Like, it's okay. It is okay. Yeah, it is okay. And they're so afraid of losing their licenses, and they send them here. And they say to me, you can say what I'm not allowed to say. Absolutely. And it's also telepathy. If people don't start paying a little bit more attention to their telepathic abilities, the ability to hear other people's thoughts, then they're really not in control yet either. And the super telepathic person could walk by someone who does want to hurt somebody else and start to think it's his own thinking, and it's not. Right. Not even that, though, but, like, do you ever have your mom respond to something that you didn't even say yet, and she's like, I know you didn't, and I'm like, I didn't even thought it, but, oh, my gosh, she's magic. What was that? That's right. How we keep them alive. It's not always something extreme either. It's just like, what? Like, no, I don't want to. And it's just like something that can, very small seeds to kind of influence, like, make you make a different choice or something like that. So I think it's really important. I think it's cool, too. Like, I'm not out here reading your mind when you walk past me. I promise I'm not reading your mind. Right, I don't want to. I don't even want to be in there. I have enough going on in my own problems. But, yeah, it could just drag down somebody's mood, something as simple as that, as being around someone who's depressed or going through a divorce or concerned about their job that they're about to get fired. And you're telepathic and you're in the room and you've denied that you're telepathic, and then you wonder why you're depressed when you leave that room. Yeah. And simple. I hear, like, you're kind of listening to it all day very subtly. Like, that person's thoughts, and it's like, oh, my gosh, I don't know why. I came in feeling great this morning, and by the time lunch came, I'm like, I want the pizza, for your bottle of meds. Like, oh, my God, like, liquid lunch. I slept somewhere. I'm going to eat my Valium for lunch because I am denying that telepathy is real. How silly. Right. Why would we even deny? Like, why not just entertain it? We entertain everything else. Superheroes have it. Sure. Why isn't it? That's all we are. Right? We are. Use it for the better. Put out that healing. I feel like a big theme for tonight is kind of trusting. Like, is that intention to say, I'm going to intentionally, yes, this is a part of it, but you want to kind of, yes, they're waving at me that we have 5 minutes. I promise I'm going to be brief. But having that intention to say, this is what's going on, and then also empowering people to go and say, let me have a say in this plan too. Like, don't just give me 12 pills to make whatever it is go away. Like, I'm going to empower you to say, yes, this is happening, and I'm not 100% against medications. Like, I don't want to come across that way at all, but I am 100% against going in and allowing me, who is the professional, to say, nope, this is what's wrong with you, and this is what you need to make everything better. I think that we wouldn't do it with our kids, so why would we let somebody kind of
Do that to us. Like, have a part in your plan. Like, if you think that meditation is going to help, make it a part of your goals. Absolutely. Like, incorporate it however you want to.
And I think people need to stop being so afraid about coming off the meds.
Yes.
We made several comments. I will claim it. I will own it. Okay. Jen didn't post it. I did. I posted multiple times, get off the meds, get into your spirit. Every time I ran the advertisement for this particular radio show, because the biggest thing that I have coming in here is people who are deathly afraid to come off of their medications, even though they feel that it's become a block for them spiritually. And I don't think you need to be afraid. You weren't born on those meds. You lived most of your life not on those meds. And it's okay. And we can't, I'm not prescribing or diagnosing, and there may be situations where someone definitely needs to stay on. But if you're thinking that you need to adjust it to see what's really going on with you, I think that the average person can adjust it.
Absolutely. And with any plan or with any change to a plan, we're going to start to decrease one thing and then bump up another thing. Like, we're not just going to take it away. I don't want you to go and flush your meds right now. Do it. Okay? But you want to start adding things little by little. Like, what is it going to be? Like, are you going to learn to block yourself and kind of keep that energy out? Meditating a little bit, or knowing that keeping a sleep journal by the side of your bed so that you can know what's going on at night, and then making a list so you can see a pattern of all the random instances or the messages that you're getting.
Trust yourself.
Absolutely.
Trust spirit. And the Empathic Means lecture will put a ton of this into perspective.
Absolutely. It's this Thursday. I'm going to plug it. It's awesome.
That's right.
It sparked it for me. I think Empathic Means brought it down, and it's really real for me. Like, this is not me just being like super hippie person, like, oh no, wait, what if they're seeing spirits are real? Like, it kind of brought it down.
That's how I came off of 8 different sleep meds, 10 different diagnoses, a million different doctors. From the time I was 5 years old, it's when I gave in to the empathic ability. I closed myself off. I examined empathic ability, and I got empowered through it.
Yes, absolutely. That's going to be our show for the evening. I am going to do it again. It's going to be a series. I don't know when, but this is awesome, and I can't get enough time.
I love it, Jen.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so glad to be your host this first time. It's super awesome. If you want to take a look at the classes that we have here, it's ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. To book a reading with Ivy, it's Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. You can find her on Facebook. You can I don't have a page set up because I'm a loser, but you can email me if you want to talk, absolutely, at jenwoodsmedium@gmail.com. And I did get your contact information. Do you have any other contact information you want to throw out there?
They can always text me, 716-602-1391, and I'll send all pricing and availability there.
Absolutely. Do you have any events coming up where they can catch you anywhere where they're going to spot you like, hey, that's Ivy?
If I could remember them, I'm sure that I do. I know that they're up on the website.
Okay.
The next one I'm really looking forward to is Silo City. I do a gallery show there.
Sweet. Check it out. Come.
September 23rd.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. You catch the next show in 2 weeks on Sunday the 23rd here at Ask the Medium at Academy Talk Radio, where we are raising up the next generation of light workers. Thank you so much for listening.
Take care of each other.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.